I want to say pleasant good night to everybody here. I see somebody's already liked my video. They haven't even seen the video, but they like it, which is cool. Um, I am Christ, I am Disciple. For those of you who don't know my channel, you can subscribe to my channel. My channel basically covers, for now, Restore the Snyderverse, but I do cover other movies and other stuff. And I will be bringing more content to you guys soon enough. But for now, that's what it is. Of course, I am a Christian, and therefore my channel is called Christ I Am Disciple. And I do share a lot of Christian material. The time right now for me, Atlantic Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, I believe it's 10:47 in the night. I hope you guys are having a good one. I know most of my videos come out late, but you guys can always watch it later. You don't have to watch it on the stream. By the way, if you're going to watch the videos, you can always speed them up to 1.5 times the speed that it normally is, 1.5x. And that pretty much covers things much faster, right? And that's the nice thing about the digital age. I can't use StreamYard right now because they're not giving video feed. So you just get dialogue. I might as well just do an audio podcast if I'm going to do that. Lastly, but not least, I got a couple updates for you guys on some polls that came out. So I may share some of that information with you guys as well. But today, the topic is that we're covering the Superman trilogy is not enough, Warner Brothers Pictures. Restore the Snyderverse. And we're going to go into so many different things. We can cover so many different topics tonight. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys are having a good week. Tomorrow is the last day of the week. And we're coming to the end of the month of August. So I hope that you guys are doing well in your journeys, in your lives. And let's get into it one time. What everybody who knows me knows, I start off with a piece of scripture because the Most High, for me, is everything in my life. I've experienced the Most High. I've been in the dumps. I've been on the mountaintops. I've seen, good things and bad things happen to me. So I always try to give praise and glory to the Most High. It doesn't matter how my life is conducted. It doesn't matter how I'm behaving. I just got to give praise and glory to the Most High. So that's how we always started off with a piece of scripture, all right? So Matthew chapter 21. This scripture is a little longer than usual. It goes from verse 1 to verse 11, but suffice it to say, it is very relevant to what I'm about to say. And so that is why I sort of picked it. And also, in addition, it's something that when you really think about the story, whether you think it's a myth or not, when you think about the story and how the story kind of, at least in terms of mortality, how it ends, it's very interesting. That's all I'm going to say. But we're going to get into it right now. Matthew chapter 21, verses 1 to 11. I'm going to hit y'all just like this. It says, as Jesus and his disciples, yo, W. Mir, what's up? Yo. W. Mir in the building, my boy. Yes, it's good to see you, bro. It's always good to see you, William. And we're going with it. As Jesus and his disciples were approaching Jerusalem, they came to the town called Bethphage. It was on the Mount of Olives. And Jesus sent two of his disciples ahead of him. Now, what's a disciple? My name is Christ, I am disciple. Disciple just means a follower. Somebody who's following this dude, patterning their life after the dude's life and stuff like that, right? So that's all a disciple is, right? So anyway, he sends two of them ahead. And he says, go into the village over there. And you'll see a donkey tied there. And it has a baby donkey or a colt next to it. Untie both of them and bring them here. If anyone asks you what you're doing, just say, the Lord needs them. And he will immediately send them. And this was done to fulfill the prophecy. Tell the people of Israel, look, your king is coming to you. He's humble riding on a donkey, even on a donkey's colt. The two disciples did as Jesus said. They brought the animals to him, and they threw their garments over the colt, and he sat on it. Most of the crowd spread their coats on the ground ahead of Jesus, and others cut branches from trees and spread them on the ground as he was going on the road. He was in the center of the procession, And the crowds all around him were shouting, "Praise God for the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Praise God in the highest heaven." The entire city of Jerusalem was stirred as he entered. "Who is this?" they asked. And the crowds replied, "It is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee." That's the whole reading. Okay. Why I want to share this with you guys is because this has relevance to what I call the architect. I know in Freemasonry they talk about the architect, but I'm going to go outside of that and just talk about the architect. What is the architect? An architect, if you know, makes designs, right? And they design buildings, they design things. And if you listen to this story, it is really about an architect. The architect is telling you what is going to happen, right? They're giving you the plans. So Jesus gave his disciples the plan. This is the plan. You go into that city over there, Bethphage, and you're going to see a donkey and you can see a little baby donkey next to it. You're going to untie them and you're just going to bring them to me. And if anybody asks you any question, just say the Lord has needs of them. And they did. People asked them the question. He said, "The Lord had need of them." And they just said, "Go ahead with the donkey." Now, the architect is someone who knows the plans. They know what's the spread. They know what it is they want to do. And in this case, as the story goes, Jesus was the architect of what was about to happen. And it wasn't because he as a man was creating all of this. No, he was a man, so he was a creation. But he was in touch with the Creator God all the time. So because he was in touch with the Most High God all the time, he knew what was coming. He knew what needed to be done. He knew the events of the day before the day was even starting. Okay? So I'm just going to give y'all a heads up, whether you're a Christian, whatever you are out there, pay attention to your dreams, okay? Pay attention to your dreams. I didn't say dream, I said dreams. Dreams. Plural. In the night, when you go to sleep, you do not have one dream. You have several dreams. And a lot of us forget what we dream in the moment we wake up in the morning. I will say this again to you guys. Pay attention to it. Unless it's something really significant in the dream that happened that troubles your psyche, you wake up troubled. Usually most of us don't pay attention to our dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. Please do that. And when you wake up in the morning, instead of just popping out your bed and going wherever you're going to go, first thing you want to do is sit down quietly and try to recap what happened during the night. Don't try to overthink it. Don't try to concentrate too much. Just sit down quietly and let the events of your dreams unravel, because you have several dreams in the night. You don't have one, you have several. And they're usually saying different aspects of something that concerns you, something that you should know about, and also the events that are supposed to pan out the next day. All right? So I just wanted to say that to say whether you believe in God or not is sort of irrelevant at this point in time, what I'm about to say to you. Because the relevancy is in what I just said. Pay attention to your dreams. See, your brain operates at its highest capacity. Your entire brain is lit up while you are asleep, while you're at rest. And people think it's an entertainment center, but it's not. It's a communication center. What's going on is our brains emit alpha, delta, gamma rays and epsilon rays. Okay? We literally emit electromagnetic radiation. For those of you who don't know what electromagnetic radiation is, it's like radio waves, it's like electricity, it's like UV waves, etc., 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 right? X-rays, gamma rays, etc. Well, all brains, all brain activity all the time, while we are thinking, this electrical activity is conducted into electromagnetic radiation, and it's emitted from us all the time. In fact, I think I'll just leave it right there. So what I'm saying is you can read somebody else's thoughts if you know how to tune in to the frequency at which they emit their radiation. In the night, because you're not conscious, because you're put to sleep, your brain is very receptive to other electromagnetic radiation emitted from other brains. And this is why you're actually more awake and more alive and actually more communicable when you're asleep than when you are actually awake. And that's where you get your dreams from. All right, so having said all of that, think of yourself as like a radio station, and you're emitting this signal all over the place, and then you're receiving signals as well. This is what we are. We're like huge radio stations. We're like huge antennas, and we like put out signals and we receive signals all the time. All the time, and we're clueless about that. You wonder where you get your ideas and thoughts from. You actually get it from other people, and you don't even realize it. Now, I'm not just talking about on social media, but literally, there are waves bombarding you all the time, and that's where the thoughts get into your head. It's signals that are coming to you. Anyway, having said all of that, let's get into what we're going to talk about. But I just wanted to tell you, pay attention to your dreams, because Jesus used to communicate with his Father. He also, of course, he used to sleep too. But he also communicated with his Father, and dreams are very similar to visions. So you can be awake and also have this same sort of where your whole brain lights up, and that's when you get into a vision. And so when you are awake, you can have a vision, and when you're asleep, you have dreams. And everybody has dreams. Everybody has multiple dreams, like I said, in the night. What I'm trying to tell you guys is pay attention to your dreams, okay? They're not just random thought processes and random events that are happening. It's actually something where it's something where you're getting very important information for your day, for the next day, sometimes for the week, sometimes for things way down the road. You know, you see where you're going to be way down the road, and this is just naturally God has made us this way. Okay, so tap into that, would you? All right. And sufficing to say, this particular, so the architect, which is the point I kind of got lost in the whole thing. The architect is somebody who gives you the plan for the day. And Jesus was like an architect because his Father gave him the plan for the day. He understood now what his plan was, what his mission was, what he needed to do. And that's what he called a purpose-driven life. And that's why I said pay attention to your dreams. And we use the metaphor, I wanted to chase my dreams, you know. We use that metaphor all the time, but you can't chase your dreams if you don't know what they are. You know what I mean? So you follow your dreams. And when you follow your dreams, that means you should literally follow your dreams. Like, really, they are very instructive. All right. Now, I could go into much more detail on that, but I will not. Okay, so let's get into architect. Remember that word, architect, okay? Let's get into the topic for today, which has to do with the Snyderverse, okay? And Zack Snyder. So Warner Brothers Pictures, or should I say Warner Brothers, the company, Warner Brothers Discovery, recently did a re-release of the Superman trilogy. I don't call it the Justice League trilogy because it's not Justice League. Justice League just part of it. It's not a trilogy of the Justice League. Justice League trilogy would have the Justice League in it for all three movies, and that's not the case here. So I call it the Superman trilogy. They are re-releasing this again in DVD and Blu-ray and Steelbook format at the end of this year. And something that the 4KO said, you know, a lot of people are looking at this negatively and saying they're milking Zack Snyder, which is true. But there is something to be said. So if you've ever watched my boy 4KO, check him out. 4KO, the 4KO, check out his channel. He also watches my stuff. And I just want to piggyback off of what he was saying, which is that Warner Brothers has been making a lot of money off of Zack Snyder's movies. A lot of money. as Greg Silverman said, Zack Snyder is very lucrative to the company. Okay, he's made the company a ton of money. The only two movies that Zack Snyder cost the company money with was Owls of Ga'Hoole and Sucker Punch. All right. Other than that, even Watchmen, he made money, and they've been making money off of Zack Snyder, off of these DVDs and Blu-rays and like, because people continuously still buy Zack Snyder's movies to this day. And the only, I think the only DVDs and Blu-rays that they continuously make money off of is Zack Snyder's DVDs and Blu-rays. Even Sucker Punch right now, people are buying the director's cut of Sucker Punch. Is it director's cut or ultimate cut? I can't remember. Right? They've been watching all kinds of cuts of Zack Snyder stuff. People can't get enough of Zack Snyder. And if you look, Warner Brothers could have, yes, the DCU is ending, or so they say, but they could have picked any trilogy to really push. They could have pushed the Dark Knight trilogy. They don't push it as hard. They don't push. What's the other trilogy out there? I don't know that Warner Brothers has. The Superman trilogy. They don't even push Superman trilogy. The Christopher Reeve Superman trilogy, because of course the third one was shit. But they don't push the Superman trilogy either. They push Zack Snyder's Superman trilogy. This is going to be the third re-release of Zack Snyder's trilogy in another form. No other franchise have they done that with. Warner Brothers. That means it's making money, people. People are buying it. It's making money. It keeps on getting sold out really quick. And the reason that's happening is because, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Zack Snyder's stuff sells. You can say whatever you want. Zack Snyder makes money for companies he's working with. And believe you me, Netflix is doing all these different projects with Zack Snyder because he makes money. He makes money. He makes sense. Okay? So when I saw that they're actually doing the premium cuts that Zack Snyder had, his director's cuts, if you want to call it that, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. They're not bringing out the theatrical version of BVS. No, they're doing Zack Snyder's Superman trilogy with the optimal cuts. Why is that happening? Because the demand is so high for Zack Snyder's stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to say a couple of other things before I get into why I'm saying that a Superman trilogy is not enough, Warner Brothers Pictures. That shout out to Abdi and DeLuca. It's not enough, and I'm going to say why. But first, let's get to the point of Zack Snyder's stuff. Zack Snyder's the hottest name right now in Hollywood. Let's be real. He's the hottest name out there in Hollywood. We know this, right? He's doing his own original IPs now, and shout out to him on that. And I wanted to say something else. Everything happens in its time. Everything happens in its time. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is, it wasn't time for Zack Snyder to release these original IPs with Warner Brothers Pictures. He did it with Sucker Punch. It didn't work out, right? Sucker Punch didn't work out. And that was because of runtime, right? A lot of people didn't, I'm not saying the average person's like that, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, the general audience has gotten dumber when it comes to superhero movies than before. And what I mean by that is, and if you've watched my previous video, I talked about how there were a lot of superhero movies, and still a lot of superhero movies, that are geared for adult entertainment. It's not geared for kids. It's not theme parks. It's not this easy, simple storyline and, fun and jokes. And, we got a significant amount of comic book movies over the years that were not like that. But suffice it to say that Zack Snyder's trilogy, or Superman trilogy, is those kinds of movies where it is geared for mostly adults than it is kids. All right. Now, this stuff gets sold off so fast that Warner Brothers continuously keeps on selling it. It's the one thing that keeps on selling, which leads us to another question. How much has Zack Snyder's Justice League grossed for Warner Brothers Pictures? That's a real question. Because they kept it on streaming for a reason. They didn't want people to know the numbers. Right? When they put out physical media, when they put out the Blu-rays and the DVDs, that stuff sold off like that. In 24 hours, it was gone. When they did the digital releases, people gobble up the stuff like it was nothing. So my question is, because I got my digital copies, the question is, how much did Zack Snyder's Justice League actually gain? Those numbers and figures, I believe, are lies about the physical DVD releases. Of course, we're talking in the United States. They say the physical DVD releases is about 16 million they made. I don't believe that. I believe that's a lie. I don't believe that Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max at the time it was called, now it's called Max, which originally was supposed to be called Max in the first place, and now Warner Brothers Discovery has changed it back to Max, and y'all was saying that's whack and that's crazy, but no, it's not whack and crazy. That was what it was originally supposed to be. It was supposed to be Max. Y'all forgot that. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, they put it out on Max, and then we learned that the former regime, Toby Emmerich Day, who's talking about how Zack Snyder's Justice League didn't do good as Wonder Woman, didn't do as good as other things that came out. Yet they kept it on HBO Max. They wouldn't put it on any other platform, right? They held it hostage on HBO Max. You're telling me they told the truth? They lied. They lied about subscription. We learned they lied about the subscribers that was on HBO Max. We heard that they lied about they lied to the shareholders are actually suing them right now for talking about the merger and the value of the merger that was supposed to come together. They lied about those figures as well. So why is it that we should believe liars who are also lying about Zack Snyder's Justice League numbers? We know Zack Snyder's Justice League numbers did ridiculous numbers. We've seen the numbers in other countries. And you tell me in the US it was less? Get out of here, man. Seriously. So they lied. And the reason they can lie impunitively is because they're not releasing the figures. We don't even know how many digital copies, digital, not Blu-ray and DVDs, how many digital copies of Zack Snyder's Justice League actually got sold off. We don't even know that. Think about what I'm saying, right? Okay, pause. So, like I said before, from the scripture, we were talking about architects. What do we know about Zack Snyder? What do we know about Zack Snyder? Zack Snyder's a world builder. Think about how many worlds Zack Snyder's building right now. He's building Army of the Dead world. He is building Rebel Moon world, right? I'm sorry, universe. He's wearing Rebel World universe, Army of the Dead world. He's saying that Army of the Dead might overlap with Rebel Moon universe. That's kind of crazy. And then he also built the DCEU, which they're trying to now destroy, right? The man's good at world building. He's an architect. I told you to come full circle, right? He's an architect. This man's an architect. He's, dare I say, this might be a dangerous term for some people, but I'm going to say it because King Solomon's temple was built by an architect, King Hiram of Tyre. So what I'm about to say, y'all might, but I know where Freemasonry actually comes from. I say he a Freemason. That's why he moved it from Cruel and Unusual Films to the Stone Quarry. I'm gonna just let y'all. I'm gonna let y'all process that. I'm just gonna pause. He an architect, right? He's an architect. So to make this make sense to you guys, when he sets out a plan, he already knows what he's doing 4, 5, 6 films down the road. Now, the people in the industry, the social influencers, they'll tell you Zack Snyder don't know what he's doing. He just do things because they look cool. No. It was always well planned out, well thought out. He's not going to hit you with just a story. He'll hit you on the surface level, then he's going to hit you on the other level, then he's going to, and he calls them rabbit holes. And he be, Zack Snyder is a guy, he talk very seemingly flippantly. He's just saying things, but man, the dude into so much detail, you would be, he seemed laid back, but he's a thinker. Okay? And again, I'm not worshiping the dude. When I saw Rebel Moon, the trailer, I was like, that's cool. I saw other people that was, it looks beautiful, and they were super hyped about the trailer. And I was like, not super hyped about the trailer. I was just cool, right? I was curious, I was interested, but I always know the strong point of Zack Snyder, unlike what these people out here will tell you, is he's a great storyteller. Because there's always layers to the onion. That's what makes his films rewatchable. And his films have, to me, a lot of value. I'm a Christian, okay? So I come from a Christocentric perspective, okay? But even if you're not a Christian, you're going to get so much value out of it because he's so practical with it. What I mean by that is he shows you, see, I don't want to say too much, but he shows you. He don't tell you. Actions speak louder than words. He shows you. See, okay. I'm going to come off of Zack Snyder for a minute because people always say, Snyder cultists and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to come off of Zack Snyder for a second, just to show you what I mean. Patty Jenkins' No Man's Land scene. How much of that No Man's Land scene had dialogue in it, had a lot of talk in it? How much of it? She didn't have Wonder Woman talk to you about what she was about to do. No, she showed you. All right. I'm going to hit y'all with something more so y'all will understand what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying is so in depth. It's so deep that like I can't truly do it justice with words. There are things which, if you open your mouth and say something about them, it actually diminishes the impact. There are times when you just act. You don't need to say nothing. And Zack Snyder is really great at showing you things. He prefer not to talk about it. I'm going to just show you, because then you will know how to go about doing it. No Man's Land scene was powerful. Yeah, there was some dialogue before it, and in between, you had Chris Pine chattering a little bit. But what made that scene so impactful was showing you, after she had finished saying, we need to go to that village and we need to save those people, and they set it up. Chris Pine was like, no man can cross this thing, right? And she said, kind of like a Cyborg, she said, those people need help, so I'm just gonna do it. and she just went, right? And the way how Patty, with Zack Snyder's stunt team, orchestrated that. That's why I call it the architect. Now y'all understand where I'm coming from? This is an architect thing. This is planned. This is not something that they just spontaneously, oh, it looks cool, so I'm going to do it. Flippantly. This is not something flippant. They planned this. They planned how they was going to shoot it. Because they wanted this action scene to tell you something, to show you something important, to capture, encapsulate what this was about. So they showed you her, my words can't do it justice, but I'm going to try. They showed you her stepping boldly out into the foreground. This is her coming before mankind. She's presenting herself to mankind in a most adverse environment, in an environment where failure seems certain. She is stepping out in faith. I'm preaching to the audience right now, but I have to, because it's spiritual, in my opinion. She's stepping where no one has gone before. And if they have, they succumbed to it. She is facing massive, overwhelming opposition to what she is doing. All of this moment is showing you. That's what makes it powerful. Words, what don't need to be said, don't need to be said. Why not? I just show you. What you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, about this kind of movie. You know, a lot of people feel that, silent movies, silent movies sometimes would be funny. But to act out something without words calls for body language. It calls for situations to create the atmosphere for what it is you're trying to portray. You have to be very intentional about what you're doing. And by rehearsing so much and by absorbing so much, then you become that thing, and then you are now relaying it across to people, and then the rules and regulations and what you all absorbed and everything don't matter so much as now you can just display it naturally. Okay, so that moment that you saw, that no man's land moment where she stepped out in the face of massive opposition with faith, believing that she would get to where she had to get to, that village. This was not about fighting the soldiers on the field. She was not concerned about that. She was concerned about the village, which is being oppressed, and saving those people. Right? So we saw something special in that no man's land scene. Fast track to Zack Snyder and what he does with his movies. And of course, his stunt team was there to relay it properly. Patty Jenkins' biggest mistake, she would have gotten by with Wonder Woman 84 if she had kept that second unit stunt team with what's his name? Can't remember his name right now. It's coming to me. He was in the Full Circle event. Dana, whatever his surname is, right? Dana was the second unit stunt team that was working with Patty Jenkins. She should have kept that, because then Wonder Woman 84 would have had so much more weight. So much, they would have done things so much better. The story would have felt better. May have still had one or two plot holes, but it would have been a better story. By far. She would have made the tribute to what's his name? Richard Donner, right? She would have paid tribute to Richard Donner in such a significant way. Okay? Because what made Wonder Woman 2017 was that stunt team. Was the architect, the coordinator, the stunt coordinators. Because they were able to tell a story in the action. We saw it with the Flash turning back time. We saw a story being told in the action. And again, the Flash was not looking to knock down a big baddie and no, he was just trying to save the world. That's essentially what a superhero does. They save people. It's not a superhero is there to knock down the big baddie. No, I am confronting a big baddie because I want to save people. It's about saving people. That's what makes a hero. And a superhero is somebody who saves people. Saves the day. So Zack Snyder's an architect. Okay? And that's what he does. He world builds. And he tells stories. And he doesn't always use a whole set of words to tell the story because he wants you to be able to get a clear picture of what it is that makes isolate. He tries to isolate. So when he deconstructs and then he reconstructs, the deconstruction allows you to see what the virtue or value is, what makes this character what he is and what makes this character strong. It's not what the Scarab can do for my suit in Blue Beetle. Nobody gives a damn about that. It's what is my character's strength. It's what is my virtue that will allow anyone to be able to do and overcome, to be able to help others. That is what it is about. And he isolates that. He tells you, this is what makes Superman, Superman. This is what makes Batman, Batman. This is what makes Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. He's able to isolate it. Because he's an architect. He already knows the plan. He knows where he's going. Okay. So Warner Brothers they're now slowly realizing they need this man. This man started the universe that they have, and he is the most lucrative of them all. In fact, I'll repeat it. He is the only person in the universe to have a sequel that actually made more money than the original movie. They've tried to do sequels for Shazam. They're going to do a sequel with Aquaman. They did a sequel with Wonder Woman. And all those sequels fell belly up. But once they continue with this man and his vision, or they even rely on this man and his vision, not just in lip service, but literally show us that, they have success. And now they realize we can't continue. We can't say we're going to close off this universe and start a new universe. We can't do without this man. They're beginning to realize, because he's an architect. That's what he does. This man was put on this planet to world build and to tell stories that matter and inspire people in a real way. That's what that man's on this planet for. That's what he does. This is what he does. Christopher Nolan found a good one. He knew what he saw. He knew what he saw. That's the man's gift. The man's a comic book nerd to his soul. Right? This man's in gaming. He's in comic books. That's what he loves. And you telling me this dude don't know what he's saying? He don't know what he's doing? Are you serious? Like, are you serious? The man launched Rebel Moon on Gamescom, man. That's what the man is. He is what he is. That's his thing. How could they not understand that? And you know what? If Zack Snyder had his way, he would have linked Justice League to Rebel Moon to Army of the Dead. Y'all know that. Y'all know he would have messed them all together. Oh my God. You know, he even when I remember before BVS, they were doing this online thing with Lex Luthor online. You could see that he was trying to get an integrated thing, not just with gaming, not just with entertainment, but he was trying to integrate everything into our world. Like, that's how the man works. That's how his brain works. You know, he crazy like that. You know, so that's why we get excited when we see his stuff, because we know he's not just giving you a theme park ride. He's not giving you that. He's gonna give you something. He's gonna give you something like a dream, a real dream, which we always forget. You know what's funny? People talk about, people talk about, living in dream worlds. But most of our dreams, we don't even remember them. So how do you know what a dream world really is? I'm just saying. People talk about fantasy. But how many of us are in tune with our dreams to understand what reality really is and where fantasy actually begins? I'm just saying. So, suffice it to say this, because we're 41 minutes in, almost 42 minutes in. I am saying that Warner Brothers Discovery, or I believe Warner Brothers Pictures really, they know that this dude has raked in serious money for them. I think they probably were living off his money until Barbie. So they was shitting up the scene, doing a lot of shit in DC, putting out a lot of trash because they had that extra cash. And whoever pocketed all that cash too, a lot of them stole money from the company and left it almost bankrupt because they pocketed all that cash from over Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's what I feel. That's why Congress really supposed to investigate their ass. Okay? Anyways, man. They're trying to sell us the Superman trilogy. Like we're some gullible set of people who just gonna buy everything that's Zack. And I saw some people in the movement saying they come back to Zack because Zack is a cash cow, but they don't want to put his movie out in cinemas. They're trying to say, well, we want to cash in as much as we can off of Zack Snyder before we end his DCEU. And then what you going to start? And then they want to talk about how if James Gunn's first movie don't break even and make a loss, well, they should still continue with James Gunn stuff. I mean, the height of insanity. You just had 7 DCU flops in a row. And James Gunn is going to do something different, right? Yeah, right. He's one of the flops too. One of his movies is a flop, right? He not only flopping, but he's flopping. His co-head's movies are flopping. So him and his co-head, the movies of the co-head would want to succeed and do well. They're flopping. His co-head, just Blue Beetle, that's flopping right now, is his co-head, Peter Safran's movie. In fact, the Suicide Squad that flopped was Peter Safran's movie. He's the guy that produced the movie. And Shazam 2 was Peter Safran's movie. So if you think that James Gunn is just, it don't really matter if the DCU work or don't work, well, guess what? He's a co-head with Peter Safran. So it's hurting Peter Safran every time his movies flop. He got Aquaman coming up at the end of this year. And when that flops, Gunn would have been a disaster to Peter Safran because he'd be just hurting Peter Safran. It's like Peter Safran should have never brought Gunn on board. You know what I'm saying? And this guy who movie just be flopping left, right, and center, you gonna tell me this dude gonna bring a Superman movie that'd be great? If it looked like a duck, if it quacked like a duck, it's a duck. He a dud. He not good for DC. And anybody want to tell me otherwise, I see a track record right here. Flops. Oh, it's the perfect DC movie. It's, oh, Blue Beetle's such a great movie. It'll become a hit in the future and blah, 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 blah. No, Ninja. You can cry how much you want. Y'all real DC fans wanted that. Y'all got it. And guess what? Most people don't want it. Most people ask Warner Brothers Pictures to restore the Snyderverse. You're not going to see us, Warner Brothers Pictures, by giving us some stupid Superman trilogy when it's not a trilogy. It's a pentology. It's a pentology. It's a 5-part arc. The story ain't over. And we're not settling for that. And we're not going to watch your movies. The stuff you're putting out is trash. Zachary Levi said it. He said, listen, man, fans, if you find it's trash, then don't watch it. And what you're putting out is MCU imitated trash. It's trash. We ain't gonna watch no trash. No Who 100 said, great lives lately. What's up, my boy? Just want to salute you. Great lives. You're on your game. Yes, bro. Salute to you, man. It's trash, but it's trash. They're putting out trash. And they want us to eat trash. I don't eat trash. I don't eat trash. I'm sorry. Okay? And you know what? The thing about it is, with this studio, I don't blame everybody in the studio. I see the people who are productive in the studio. I see Abdi and DeLuca, and I know what they want to do. Okay? I see them, they're productive. So, it's not everybody in the studio. But when it comes to DC studio, bad leadership, going nowhere with DC right now, and just putting out trash. And James Gunn does have a hand in that. He does. He's changing the end of the movies. He's changing things. And let me put it to you this way. I would have been more receptive to those changes had they put Zack Snyder's Justice League out in cinemas. And had they announced that they're going to restore the Snyderverse. Had they said those things, I would have been way more receptive to the trash that they were putting out. Because it says we're inclusive of everything. We're thinking about everybody. But when you marginalize a group of people and then you want to make money off of them, you can stay with your trash. Stay with your trash. Because it's trash. It's not cinema. That's the theme park stuff. You want to copy theme park stuff because you think it's cheap to make. And if you could just get the audience to like it, then you invest a little bit of money and make a lot of reward. And then y'all executives get big kickbacks off of trash. That's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to do the same thing the MCU did. It hoodwinked its audience, but it promised the audience a big payoff. And the audience waited and they got paid off because they let everybody know their plans. Right? Right now, they not cooking. The only thing they got working for them probably is the Ahsoka movie with the Star Wars. They're not cooking right now. That's because they're not able to steal ideas from DC anymore because Zack Snyder's not there. So what I'm saying is, Warner Brothers Pictures, particularly Abdi and DeLuca, those good people in Warner Brothers, because I think they're good people. We're not going to settle for it. I'm just telling you. So I heard some guy on Twitter who's supposed to be part of the Snyderverse, community, but he's a newcomer. He's a newbie, he came by like the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Saying how if Aquaman and Captain Marvel they flop, then the comic book arena is over and we should move on. And I looked at him, I cursed. I said, F no. Maybe for you, because you just came on board and now you're ready to leave ship. If you want to do that, then move the F on. You know what I'm saying? That's what I told him. And I said, we came from Man of Steel, y'all. We fought for BVS, y'all. Hell no. One way or the other, the Snyderverse will be restored. Whether it's without the DCU and what Gunn is doing, so Gunn gets fired and they just bring back the Snyderverse fully, or with the DCU, whether Gunn is there or not, they still have the Warner Brothers, the execs and the people get the more humorous, funny light side, and the Snyderverse is still there because we got a multiverse. And with the multiverse, you're good to go. You can have one version here, you can have a version over there. Because in comic books, you got different versions. You got your own graphic novels. You got Elseworlds. You got things going on in comic books. Comic books is allowed to include everything. Jim Lee's like, man, everything can happen in here. Because Jim Lee's an inclusive kind of dude. You can work your thing here. You can work your thing here. You can work your thing here. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how comic books work. So you have a universe that accommodates that by calling it multiverse. It's not no big thing. So like I said before, if Warner Brothers feels, oh, we need to have more stuff for kiddies and stuff, then you can do it. Nobody's telling you no. But well, here's the thing. Bring back the Snyderverse. Don't erase it. Don't get rid of it. That's stupid. That's your big money maker. You clearly know that now. So why would you get rid of it? And we're not going to allow you to get rid of it like that. Now I hear some people saying, sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. And I was one of the people that said, it didn't sound like a crazy idea at the time. But now, because of Barbie and because of the fact that they have actually had 5 straight hits, Warner Brothers Pictures, that is, has had 5 straight hits, they've actually made some money this year. They're not in the negative column anymore, and they got some cash flow. So they can still pump money into DC. So they're not going to anytime soon get rid of their DC IPs to give to Netflix. And then why would you think about this. Now, y'all need to think. We're in a strike, right? So there are people who are canceling their Netflix subscriptions in the strike. You don't make the majority of your money off of now still to this day, cinematic releases really make the most amount of money in the shortest space of time. So it just only makes sense to cinematically release these movies, these DC movies anyway. So if you was going to, people talking about, you need to get it with Universal, Comcast. I thought that at first because we were squeezing them and boycott WB. I told people you need to boycott the whole fucking thing. You have to boycott the entire thing. You got to not watch no movie that Warner Brothers is even associated with. But you can't stifle them out right now. I'm telling you can't stifle out WB. They producing movies that are making money, and it is what it is. So if you can't stifle out WB, you can't force their hand to sell off the DC properties to get liquid cash because they need cash. So the strategy, they're squeezing them like that, and it's not going to work. And so they're probably not going to sell those, especially their main IPs. They're not going to sell it to Netflix like that. They're not going to do that. And then what is Netflix going to do? Because Netflix doesn't really do theatrical runs. They don't do legitimate theatrical runs. We're hoping that with Rebel Moon, they'll keep, Rebel Moon in theaters for, let's say, especially particularly IMAX, if they could get the spot. They're keeping it in IMAX for like a month and a half. Like 6 weeks is enough to make enough money for it. But we don't know. And when I look at the numbers, still, I don't find the numbers are high enough. I know Netflix doesn't have that much subscribers, but still, the numbers are still not peak numbers. So you have to get the message out about Rebel Moon. I know they have a lot of time before it comes out, but nonetheless, you don't want just Netflix subscribers knowing about Rebel Moon. And I know the industry people and the insiders, they're giving coverage about Rebel Moon too. And obviously the cast, they're not promoting anything. It's mostly Zach now and his company that's promoting stuff. But my point being that it's still not big enough. You have to get like ridiculous numbers. You got to get like 100 million views, 200 million views. Once you start seeing those kinds of numbers, like BVS numbers, Wonder Woman numbers, that's the stuff that you need. You need attention. It's not like 20 million views. That's cool, but you need like more than that. and you need a lot of likes. You need to get it so that, a sizable chunk of people know about it. But Rebel Moon is a cinematic release that needs to go into theaters. The longer it stays in theaters, the more people will know about it and be like, and since it's broken up into 2 parts, it's like 2 hours long a piece. So that's pretty good. But my point wasn't that. My point was that Rebel Moon, man, on Netflix, that's great. But what I'm saying is, and it costs even less, by the way. It costs, it's cost efficient and everything. But what I'm trying to say to people is that they're not going to sell off the properties. That's not going to happen. What could happen is if James Gunn, let's say the last movie, Aquaman, flops. James Gunn may not get to do his Superman movie, as well as he might. You never know with this company. But it shows the hypocrisy, because Zack didn't even perform like that when he was head of DC. Like, he has the best numbers when it comes to profitability when he was leading the DCU, and it's just 4 movies. It's just Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman, right? Of which David Ayer needs to have his version of that movie come out. And quite frankly, throwing, the Superman trilogy at us is not going to suffice the situation. So what I was trying to explain to people is that they're not going to sell the DC brand. They're not going to do that. So you can forget about that. What they're going to do, what they could do, is they could pivot. And if this is an indication of them trying to pivot, trying to suffice this, I don't think they're trying to pivot, because I think that they're just saying, well, this was what the DCEU was. This is Zack Snyder's stuff here. And it's still trying to claim all these movies as if they were Zack Snyder's movies. Like, he influenced those movies. When the DCU as a present, all these flops that happened, they have nothing in common with what Zack Snyder was doing. Nothing. I don't think they're even going in the direction Zack was going, even though they're coming out on the dates when, in the order that they should come out. I don't think they're nothing like what Zack Snyder was going to do. I think they changed directions on it. And there's no connectivity between these movies, so they can play off each other and sort of build on each other. So, I mean, it is what it is that's happening. It's sad, but it is what it is. And some of these people, put their heart and soul into these movies. Like, for example, the Blue Beetle movie, the director, the cast, and everything, they put their heart and soul into it. It's a generic movie, but they put their heart and soul into it, and it was still a story from a Latino perspective and stuff like that. And so it really hurts when all these directors, they're trying to hop and skip and beat to the notes that the studio is giving them and changes that they have to make. I'm so sorry for James Wan right now. But it is what it is. When you have a studio that never really tried to make amends, it did try to make amends by putting out the Snyder Cut, right? But it was under immense pressure from us, the fans, from the audiences, and from people, because information keeps on compiling on what was really actually going on behind the scenes. And it's not going to change. It's going to haunt these people, and it's going to continue to be a thorn in their side until they address it, which is the more you don't do the Snyderverse, is the more you're going to get problems, because people are constantly, the more you don't listen to people, is the more they're going to feel like they need their voices to be heard. So they're going to push back harder on you. So I just don't see this dying off anytime soon. You got to put the Snyderverse into gear. People told you to restore the Snyderverse with 1.5 million tweets, which is the record. It's higher than any other thing that's ever happened. They told you what they wanted. They told you what they wanted to do. If you put Zack Snyder's Justice League out into theaters tomorrow or IMAX, it's going to make a ton of money. Now, before we go to anything further, and why this is the important thing is because this is also the 10-year anniversary of the very first movie that came out in the DCU. This is actually the 10th anniversary of that. This is a decade that has passed. And yes, you can say, well, it took a decade and all these actors now are a decade older, so they can't continue on. Well, that's bullshit as well. All of these actors are in good health. All of these actors are still actively acting in different films and movies. They can come back. But what we have to understand is, and what the fuck does that have to do with time limits? You know what I'm saying? Sorry about the F-bomb, but it just gets me so angry thinking about it. You're all on this fucking timetable and time limits and time limits. What the hell? You're creating flops. Why are you so stupid? Why are you thinking about time? Why don't you think about making amends? Why don't you try to get your audience back? Why are you so stupid, man? Like, I could slap these people. Listen. Forget time limits and get the damn movies, to get the sequels on board. That's what you need to do. The man's an architect. He can work around that. That's what the man do. He world builds, dummy. Why do you take away a guy that's a world builder from the world that you're creating? He world builds. Why are you so stupid? I don't understand these people, man. They stupid. You know? Not talking about Pam Adley and Mike DeLuca. They're not stupid. But I'm talking about the rest of them. Like, how could you be so clueless? You know? So, like I said before, it's not going to go away. It's only going to intensify, and it's only going to get worse. And you think your movies are flopping now. Oh, okay, wait until 2025. It's going to get ugly. You're going to have to stop producing DC movies for another 7-8 years. Just be sitting down not doing nothing like you did before. Right? Because these people don't understand movies. You're not supposed to be trying to call the shots and give notes to directors. They're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave them alone. Christopher Nolan left Zack Snyder alone to do his movie. But you know about movies. You know what a pristine, perfect comic book character looks like. How's those flops happening? How do you feel now? Huh? You know everything, but you ain't know shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't know shit. You know nothing about filmmaking. You know nothing. But you want to dictate. But the people who actually know something about movies, they don't dictate. Christopher Nolan left Zack Snyder alone to do his movie. They talked, they interfaced, they made counterpoints, but at the end of the day, they respected each other. Zack left Patty Jenkins to make a fucking movie. He didn't interject. He didn't try to give her notes. He didn't try to tell her what to do. But these executives write notes all the time. In fact, fucking James Gunn be writing notes all the time and changing up fucking films. Why? No, seriously, why? Who made you God? Why can't you leave the directors to do it and trust them? You could argue and counter-argue points and see if they, but at the end of the day, let them do what they do, because that's when you get your best product. They let James Gunn do what he do, and he flopped. I'm not saying the cinematography is bad or anything. I'm just saying his style did not resonate with a lot of the audience that goes to see DC. That's why his movie didn't make squat. You can make excuses about hurricanes. You can make excuses about COVID. You can make excuses till you're out of your mind. But at the end of the day, the truth is the audience didn't show up because they didn't have any incentive to. But the same year, they showed up for Godzilla vs. Kong, showed up for Spider-Man, whatever the Spider-Man movie was. They showed up for a movie that came out at the same time with James Gunn, actually. Movie, I can't remember what the name of it is. It'll come to me. Right? They show up for what they want to see, what they're interested in seeing, what they're hyped for seeing. They're not going to show up for something they're not interested in. So it doesn't matter what the critic rating is. It don't matter how much hype you give. It don't matter about Blue Beetle Battalion. It don't matter about none of that shit. The audience is going to show up for what it is interested in. And goddamn it, we know now they not interested in DC and what it has to offer right now. But don't tell me that the DC brand is over. Don't tell me that they're superhero fatigue. They're fatigued with the types of superhero movies that you're putting out. Because it's everywhere. It's common. So they're tired seeing movies that have certain beats to them, that have certain flows to them. And me, I never was a fan of that to start with. So you're never going to get me just like, I mean, I did watch Wonder Woman 84. I laughed my ass off, but to be honest with you, it was so bad that I ended up laughing. Okay? Because I was wondering, why did I come to this movie again? In my head, I'm like, oh, but I paid money, so somehow I got to enjoy this movie. I'm going to have a good time one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? But it was bad. It was a bad movie. It wasn't good. It was bad. That's why people didn't show up. Okay? And I gave it a shot. I gave it a chance, but it was bad. Okay? These movies, y'all want to make for kids. Nobody's saying don't make movies for kids. But you got to have substantive stuff in them to appeal to adults, because guess what? Little kids can't go to the theater by themselves. They can't. They have to go with a parent, and the parent has to pay for them. So if you're going to try and make movies for 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, remember, they need to get money from their parents. 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. They're not working nowhere. The people give them the money is parents. And the parents can't afford to go and do a whole bunch of family movies. Okay, so there's this Marvel movie coming out for families. There's this animated movie coming out for families. There's this movie over here, that movie over there, and then a DC adding to the plot? No, we don't got time for DC, and then the brand not that great anyway, so why would I go with my kids to that? You have to understand when your demographic or when the supply is saturated. You're out here trying to appeal to kids with a rated fucking R movie. Oh, we have to dial it back because kids could be watching it. That's what you did with what the hell? Birds of Prey. You dialed back Kathy Yan's film. She wanted to go all out, and y'all was like, nah, no, that's too much for rated R. Slap you, idiot. Stupid. You worried about the kids. First of all, what fucking kid in the world is going to be watching a rated R film? Won't they be with their parents? Can't they have a discussion? Y'all didn't dial back Joker, thank God. Because Todd Phillips, at least he had autonomy over his movie. Y'all didn't dial back the Batman. Matt Reeves had autonomy over his movie. The movies you did not fuck with did well. Why does the executive arm feel they need to be hands-on and everything? Just let the fucking thing play out how the director wants it. Just let it play out. Trust your fucking directors to give you a unique take on something. And this goes for all those directors that y'all fucked over. And you're gonna excuse my French right now because I'm flaming mad right now, but it's what it is. You fucked over Kathy Yan. See, that's the difference between me and some of the other people in the Snyderverse. I know when there's fuckery going on. I told you that James Wan's Aquaman was fucked with by Jeff Johns and John Berg. They fucked over Kathy Yan. She will never say it, but I'm gonna say it for her. They fucked over what's his name? They fucked over Patty Jenkins, 2 women. And you know how racist this fucking industry is. They fucked over Patty Jenkins. And Jeff Johns, that fucking snake had something to do with that. And then he threw her under the bus. And said it was her idea, right? That fucker. And then they also fucked over. You're going to have to excuse me for the French, but they fucked over James Wan. They fucked over Andy Muschietti. That's a bunch of directors they fucked over. Andy Muschietti was making this film, and then they changed the ending so many different times. They changed the film so many different times. That motherfucking film didn't have no identity. And then the people working on VFX had to be changing the VFX so often the VFX didn't look completed. They fucked up that film. You're preaching tonight. Ah, man. Look. Those fucking executives need to keep their hands off of the creative's stuff. And James Gunn being a creative, what are you doing fucking up other people's work? Right now you're fucking up James Wan's work. You have James Wan in the hospital in critical condition because of your fucking ass. You're doing the same thing the fucking executives do. Zack Snyder doesn't do that to his people. Christopher Nolan don't do that to his people. Why the fuck you have to do it? Because you come from Marvel and it works with Marvel? It don't work in fucking DC.